It's a stormy evening out there today, folks. It's looking pretty bad over there, out that direction. We finished painting on the shed. Got that done out of the way. And now it's raining. If it's one thing, it's another. But anyway, today I came out. I'm going to do a little video on bipods here. I got my Harris bipod. Andy Prariedog asked me my opinion on bipods. I ain't got nothing else going on right now, so I figured I'd make a response video. So why not? I ain't got much going on. It's raining and I ain't got nothing really gun related other than this, so I figured I'd make a response video. Yeah, this is his comment to me. He's talking about his new reloads, but he is down here on this part. He said made 3 more loadings, 2 grains lower and higher to try out on the bipod. No idea what to expect compared to the sandbag I used initially. Bipod jump, pivot disturbance, in bipod reaction. I'm still new to the finer marksmanship details. Thanks again for your videos. He also mentioned that my videos have been helping him out, which is a good thing, which is why I do them. I enjoy the fact that my videos help out people, and I try to help out as many people as I can with them. My opinion on bipods. This is my Harris bipod, as I just showed. Personally, I think they're a great in the field type of weapon support for like a rifle. If you were to say being out like hiking or hunting, they are good for, like, if you need to make a quick, I'll just set my camera down here as I talk. If you need to make a quick, like say prone shot, or get up behind a stable surface and, you know, deploy the legs, or try to deploy them as it's like this. Deploy the legs like so. The bipods are very good for that. You know, you get up on a surface. I don't have a rifle out here. It's kind of crowded, the garage, and I just didn't want to bring one out, but I got it here. You know, you deploy your legs. If you can get behind the rifle and get real bucked up behind it and steady, the bipod will help immensely. But what I have found, now this is just me and my experience, because I've had this same bipod. I've had this for years. We've had it for years. Let me close it back up here. The legs are still very stiff, which is a good thing. I've had this bipod for years. Originally belonged to my dad. He doesn't use it no more. He had it on his Encore 308 handgun with a 15-inch barrel, and he would be able to get behind one of the stone walls at a cemetery we hunt out of. We ain't been there in years. It's where we were doing the 300, 500 yard shooting the other day. It's up on a hill, kind of like there in the woods to the left of where the target was. I mean, if you go back and rewatch that video and you see where the target is, the cemetery is on up the hill over in those woods. And we used to hunt out of there, but he'd use his Encore, and he would deploy the legs on the Encore and get, you know, bucked up behind the Encore, and he would be able to make 200 yard shots on deer with a 308 handgun with this bipod. So it can work, but in my experience, on smooth surfaces like this table here, it's smooth. Depending on the rifle and, you know, the terrain, because I've shot off picnic tables and stuff, and the benches over at the park with a bipod, it's almost impossible to get a good group, because they will, on a real flat surface like this, they tend to jump more. At least I've noticed. It depends on you, the shooter. From what I've found, if you're able to get behind it and your trigger squeeze on your trigger is real consistent and you're able to get really bucked up behind it, you shouldn't have no problems. I've shot at the picnic table at my grandma and grandpa's pond back there with the M1A on it, and with the 1909 Mauser as well. And both times, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But I mean, if you're jumpy and you kind of like let the gun, because you know with the sandbag you kind of just set your gun up on top of it, and you just kind of like ride the recoil, and you just that's how I do it anyway. Or, you know, you squeeze the trigger, ride recoil, and then reset the gun just a little bit. You know, kind of scoot it back to where it was. If it jumps or recoils real bad. But with this, you can't kind of have that same type of mentality where, you know, you just kind of let the gun sit. You get behind it and just squeeze the trigger, because this dude will jump. And it depends on the gun too. I'm not saying all guns do this. If you have a real heavy bolt action rifle and with a bull barrel and it's shooting like 308 or something, or any kind of caliber that don't kick too bad, you shouldn't have no problems. My M1A on flat surfaces with this, and I think it's just because of how the M1A is designed. The M1A has upward recoil. It's not bad, but it's very prevalent. It's very abundant upward recoil with the M1A is. And I think I've watched videos. It's how the receiver sits in the stock. On the M14, because it will pivot back. If you ever watch when I shoot offhand with the M1A and I'm sitting there squeezing the trigger, and it's really bad. You can really see it when I'm rapid firing. The gun kind of jerks up. Not much, but it does. And on a flat surface like this, and these legs here, these feet, you know, there's nothing to grab a hold of the surface. It's just a pad here. Bipods at the M1A on a flat surface like this, at the hop, you can really see it, and it's a lot worse than if you're shooting off a sandbag, or if you're shooting prone on the ground with the M1A. Now, I've just made that observation over the years, because I have shot the M1A both when it was scoped and when it wasn't scoped with the bipod several times. And it's not bad. It can be done. I've shot good groups with the bipod on the M1A from both the table and you know, from the ground laying down. I've gotten good groups, but it's a different dynamic from, say, like a bolt action rifle. A bolt action rifle, they don't jump as bad. But that being said, with a bipod on a flat surface like this, a flat table, the rearward push is a little bit stronger with a bipod on a bolt action. This is just speaking from my experience. I've just only been able to use one type of bipod, and I've only ever used it on certain amounts of guns. My Remington 700 ADL 243, my M1A loaded 308, my 1909 Argentine Mauser, and my Marlin 15YN. Those are the only rifles I've ever used this bipod on in my immediate collection. My dad has used it on several rifles before. And out of the guns I've used with this bipod, the guns that it does best with this bipod is the 1909 Argentine Mauser and my Marlin 15YN. I think it does good with the Remington 700 243 too, but I just never used it on the 243 that much. But I have used this on the 1909 Argentine Mauser and the Marlin 15YN, and those two rifles, it doesn't seem the bounce of the legs, you know, the upward bounce, or the, you know, the jerk with the recoil. You know, because I mean, you yourself as a shooter is more like your presence and what you do to the gun's made more noticeable with a bipod than it is a sandbag. That's just from my experience. But with the 1909 Argentine Mauser and the Marlin 15YN, it's not as bad. The 243, Remington 700 243, I've only ever shot it, like I said, with this mounted to it a couple times. And the M1A, I've shot it enough, but on a flat surface, you know, shooting from a table, it's not very desirable. With the M1A, it's best, I've found, with the M1A shooting prone with, you know, my weight behind the gun. And, you know, the weight of the rifle pushing down on the dirt with these legs, the weight of the rifle pushing down these legs into the dirt. It shoots a lot better than it does from a table. Weight is another thing to keep in mind. Any rifle I have ever put this bipod on has increased the weight of said rifle, regardless of what it is, immensely. The M1A is a heavy gun as it is. Mine's even heavier than a normal M1A because it has a National Match medium weight barrel. But when I put this on it, it's a lot heavier. A lot heavier. I mean, I can buck the weight of my M1A. I can carry it through the woods, no problem. But when I have this bipod on it, oh, that dude's heavy. Same with the 1909 Mauser, 7.65 Argentine. Bipod on it's no problem, but it is heavy as well. 243, not as bad, and the Marlin 15YN, I barely notice it's there. It actually I think it actually kind of helps the 15YN because it makes it front heavy and gives the rifle more stability. But that's a 22. I need to get a bipod adapter for my AR-15 to see how the bipod will do on an AR-15. I don't think it'd be bad at all. It may make it heavy because my DPMS Oracle, I've held Colts, like Colt 16, or not 16s, 6920s, Deltons, and other like, well, the Colt 6920 is not an entry level AR-15. They did make a few of them. I forget which model of the 6920 I held in the store. I've held a few Deltons in the store and a few other Oracles. And the Oracle, in my opinion, was heavier than the Delton and the Colt 6920. The barrel on the DPMS Oracle is a pretty beefy outfit. It's not a standard AR barrel of any kind. It ain't got the M203 cutout. It isn't a government, you know, M4 style barrel. It's a bull barrel in the way, in its profile a bit. That really helps cut down the recoil. But I imagine if I were to put this bipod on it, it would get severely front heavy, kind of like my M1A. I'm sure it wouldn't be as heavy as my M1A with this bipod, but it would, the weight difference would be significant for sure. This particular bipod too, to help it out in the field when I have it on a gun, is I think it's a 3 to 9 length bipod. Like when these are extended out, it's 9 inches long, and then when they're shortened up, it's 3 inches. I can measure it real quick because I really don't know the whole specs of this bipod. I just have it. Let us see here. Let me extend one of the legs. Let me just extend both of them. How about that? Sit up. Let's see. See from back here. I know the legs are 6 inches folded. Let's see how long they are deployed. That's a brain fart there. Nine inches. It's a 6 to 9, not a 3 to 9. So you got significant with this style of Harris bipod. You've got significant leg extension here to prop your gun up. Pivot. Andy Prariedog also asked about pivot. Every bipod's different, but this one doesn't pivot very well because, I mean, it can. It has this bolt right here that's knurled. I could loosen that, and this whole part up here, this cradle, where it latches to the bottom of your gun. See, it's got like prongs there to go into a sling swivel. I could loosen this nut up here, and this thing would go back and forth, west side and crooked. But I've got it pretty tightened down. It ain't moving. It also comes with a sling swivel stud back here in the back, and it's got a nut here, as you can see here on the bottom, to take a flat head to tighten it down more. This one has got a problem too, now that I mention it, because once I get it stuck to the bottom, tightened down to the bottom of a rifle, it don't matter whatever one I have, any of them, I get it tightened down on there, and I tighten that screw in, get it as tight as I can. This dude will hardly come loose. I also had a leather pad up here that my dad Gorilla glued to the bottom. I don't know what happened to that. It was to keep the frame of this from rubbing the finish off of his Encore and other rifles. He basically, there for a while when we weren't allowed to use rifle cartridges and rifle length rifles, he basically had this just become part of the Encore for several years. Let me see if I can close this without cutting my fingers off or smashing them, because that never feels good. There we go. Yeah, his Encore 308 handgun and this bipod were basically, he had it so compressed to the bottom of his Encore, it may as well have come from the factory that way. But it did him alright. He was able to kill all sorts of big bucks and stuff every deer season with it. When he still had it. His Encore 308 was awesome. It'd break your hand though. Oh my God. He put some of his high pressure 308 match loads in it. You better be sure you had your hand and fingers in a certain spot, because if you didn't, that trigger guard would come back and just absolutely massacre that knuckle there on your middle finger. I've never seen nothing like it. Well, anyway, Andy Prariedog, I hope I helped give you some opinions or some thoughts on the bipod. I'm not against them by any means. In fact, I still want to use this. But it's just like anything else when it comes to guns. It's got its pros, and then it's got its trade-offs. Everything's a trade-off. I put it on my M1A. It'll help stabilize it in the field, but it makes it heavier to carry. I put it on my Marlin 15YN. It stabilizes the front end of it, makes it more, more steady and able to shoot from a table better. And just whatever fits the bill that day as you go out the door with your gun, I say go for it. Try your bipod out. Learn to shoot with it. Get good with it. See how you feel. And just remember, you can always take it off too. If you don't like it, just take it back off and put it back on the gun cabinet, or in the gun cabinet, or wherever you store yours. And it'll be there when you're ready to use it again. That's what I do with mine. It's just when I'm shooting from a rifle rest or something that day, I don't intend to have this on the front of the gun. But if I'm going to go out shooting with my buddies, or if I feel like I need to make, like I'll be in a spot where I might need to lay down and make a good shot, or I have to lay down and take a shot, I'll have this with me. It's just, the scenario demands the equipment. That's the way I look at it. I'm not against them. I've met people that are absolutely against bipods on Google Plus in the past. I know Google Plus is gone, but I got in an argument over there once with a guy who was saying bipods were irrelevant, and he got really verbal. He was basically saying anybody who chooses a bipod's not very smart. so to speak. And me and this other guy, we kind of got onto him. It's just like, well, there's nothing wrong with a bipod. It just, yeah, it adds weight to the gun, but there's, nothing wrong with them. And they make hundreds of different kinds. I mean, this is just one of thousands that you could choose from. So, I mean, they make lightweight ones, they make heavier ones. It just depends on your situation and scenario, just like choosing ammo for your gun. It's just like, do you want a full metal jacket to punch through the barrier, or a hollow point to, expand on impact? Same set of rules applies. I'm running low on data here. I'm at 4 minutes. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I messed around with my new video editor on my Pliskin by 45mm account. Made a Terminator 3 fan edit opening. If you guys want to go check that out over there, I put it up over there because I didn't know if I wanted to put it up on the main channel or not. So I was just goofing around. I got bored last night and was like, you know what, I'll just play with this new editor, see how it works. And I added some cool filters and light effects, and recreated the movie Terminator 3's opening. So if you guys want to go check that out, head on over to Pliskin by 45mm and give that a view. Let me know what you think. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys all in the next one.